Around 3 years ago I decided to become Christian. Since then a lot of things happened. But, how did it all start? When I was younger I used to be lukewarm, very lukewarm. I claimed to be Christian but I never read my Bible, I never prayed, I didn't know anything about Christ, I never tried to grow closer to Him. I thought, since I believe that God exists I will go to heaven, as if that allowed to live however way I want, and for the first 13 years or so of my life that was how I lived. I hated myself. I thought I disappointed my parents, and a lot of the time I did. I used to spend a lot of nights thinking about the future. I was scared that I will not be able to get a good job, to find someone. I worried about it. I was scared beyond belief. I thought about all the regrets I had, about all the stuff that happened to me and that I personally did. They kept me up at night. I wasn't a good brother and I can't remember having a good friend, okay maybe one, but I only really heard from him at school and I was a bad friend in general. I started getting some bad habits. I lusted regularly, I hated, I was proud, I was envious, and you know what was worst of it all? I didn't regret any of it. I loved my sin, and yet I hated everyone else. I thought it was their fault I couldn't have a friend. I was a hypocrite, but I still thought I was a good person, a kind person. I called myself Christian but was the furthest thing from it. Now all the bad habits I made, all that sin, all the bad influences, eventually I became atheist, but that might have been a good thing. How? First, let's give some context. I don't like remembering this part of my life, the way I used to be, how I used to act, to think, and what I believed. It makes me feel disgusting. I was so lustful that it makes me genuinely feel unwell when I think about it. I was also very violent, but God kept me out of bad situations. I supported things that are horrible. In this year I was a complete degenerate, not only because of lust, but also because I had no self-control. I was disgusting, I was hateful. I remember vividly wanting to hurt people. I have to thank my Lord that I never actually did it. I was selfish. I didn't care what I had to do to win an argument, who I had to insult or what I had to say. I supported sin to the fullest. That made me even more depressed, angry, and hateful than before. It felt good for a while, sure, but that didn't help me. It didn't fill any void. I just became disgusting. Now I'm not saying that atheists are disgusting or that I hate them. This is just my personal experience. That got me to mellow down. Not really, actually. It just made more open and a bit less hateful to Christians and religious people. That brings us to the night that I'll never forget. The night I became a Christian. I was on my parents' bed, watching TikTok, when I stumbled on a Bible video. It wasn't an argument about the existence of God, neither a video telling me to turn to Christ or I'll burn forever. It was a simple video talking about the Tower of Babel. It explained the story and I kept on watching because I found it interesting, and while I was watching I asked myself, what if this is real? If it is, I've been on the bad side all my life. If it is, I've been wrong most of my life. If it's real, I'm screwed. Do you remember when I said that becoming atheist might have been a good thing? It's because I already thought I was Christian. How can I turn to Christ if I already did? I have to say, at the start I didn't love God much. I really just did it because I was scared of hell. But as time went on I started loving Him more and more. I fell in love with God, you know. I didn't even read my Bible, because I thought that the videos on TikTok could replace it. Very foolish, I know. I was thinking that I can just watch videos explaining it and I would have been fine. I was also pretty prideful on my knowledge of God and the Bible, not knowing just how limited it was, and how ignorant I was, still am. I knew I had to read it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Then December came. I think it was my first Christmas since I gave my life to Christ. A TikToker named Er3Alism made a video where he challenged me and the other people watching him to start reading the Bible, starting with the book of John. So when Christmas came you'll know the life of Christ, which, in case you forgot, is who we are celebrating. So I did, and when I finished the book of John I wanted more, so I kept on reading, not the following book, but I started from the beginning, the book of Genesis. But when you start reading the Bible, start with the New Testament, because that's what teaches you how you should act and how you should live and be. I was still very prideful in my knowledge, even more now, but that was shattered when I got into a debate with an atheist. I thought that it was gonna be easy, but there were a lot of things I didn't know, so I started saying stuff that was false because I didn't want to lose the debate. When I understood what I was doing it was too late, so I told him, the atheist, that I didn't know. I lost that debate, but that's probably a good thing. My ego was shattered and I finally understood just how prideful I was, so I repented and now I am more humble. Still, am nowhere near the great saint like the apostles or Mary or Joseph, or Pizios or Therese, and let's not even mention the Lord Jesus, but I think I'm getting better. I'm trying to read my Bible every day and pray every day. Admittedly, it is getting harder to pray at night, but I'm trying to get the habit. Now I want to make videos To spread the gospel and help people with that I know, just remember to take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's important you read the Bible for yourself to get a relationship with God, and it's important you study it so you can distinguish false doctrine and the true doctrine of God, and always try to get close to God, to try to become like Christ. It's impossible to be like Him, but we need to try to get as close to Him as possible because that will make us grow. This is the first video I make. If you have a question, ask in the comments, I'll do my best to answer. May God bless you all.